Hello everyone, I'm Simone and I'm going to talk to you today about what is participatory design, what is co-design, what does it mean, and I'm going to show you some past student examples. Share my screen. Okay, so what is participatory design? Here we are, Simone, Sonia and Jenny. Participatory design began in the 1970s in Scandinavia. At the time, they were wanting to have a full democracy, the unions were involved, and it was about industrial production. So computers were taking over humans in the workplace. And they wanted everyone in the workplace to be involved in how to design the workplace with new computer technologies in a way that would suit them. So there was upward rising of the people in the organisations to design their own workforce. So that's why it often is there's a lot of articles in human-computer interaction and product design. So there are other branches of participatory design, and often now they're called co-design, which began over in North America after participatory design. Then there's co-creation, cooperative design, collaborative design. All people are creative. All these fields believe that all people are creative and that creativity should be and is shared. Typically, designers are taught to gather end-user information with methods such as questionnaires, observation is really live and strong in design community, and focus group. So you might have heard of those three kind of methods. Well, that is not participatory design. So there's little research into how end users can participate in the design process itself. So not just extracting information by observing, but participating in the design process. Some studies suggest that design outcomes are more effective if you use co-design or participatory design than intuitive designer-driven methods. And also we're in an era of end-user engagement. In traditional design, designers design for end users. In co-design, designers design with end users. Designers act as facilitators. So that's a new role for designers, to be facilitators. Designers see end users as equal partners in the design process, providing key creative ideas. They're not just focus group subjects to get information from. So co-design philosophy says people who will use a design should have a say in its design. And you can think about architecture. If you had an architect come and redesign your house and they just did what they think's best and they said, here you are, like it. And you say, but I don't ever use my kitchen in that way. I'd like it over there. So that's about the end user having a say in the design. Co-design philosophy says that designs are often more acceptable to end users when based on end users' real needs and preferences, what they want, what they really, really want. In co-design, end users are partners in the design process, and some people call designers a broker of expertise. Why is co-design rare? Why haven't you maybe heard of it before in some design fields? Well, I've got a few theories. I think that end users' input is ignored when designers just feel that they are the expert and they focus on intuition to solve design. This is how I intuitively think the design should be. That's one reason why designers don't use co-design. The second reason I can think of is that end users' input is ignored when designers see themselves as frustrated artists. Some of you might have thought when you were in your teenage years, I'm a really good drawer, I'm a really good artist, I'm going to be a designer. And you might not think that the end users who aren't good drawers or artistic have anything creative to add. So if you see yourself as a frustrated artist, then you might ignore end users' creative input. The third reason I can think of course, is that designers emphasize business objectives over end users' needs and preferences. Good design is good business. So you can see that where in graphic design, we'll just put the design out there and see what what the market says. If they don't like it, we'll pull it off and design something new. So in the idea of sharing the creative space, the benefits are it gets to the heart of the problem, it creates relevant designs, it allows fresh ideas to surface that you might never have thought of before, and that's often the case. It challenges us as designers to stay focused on the real problem at hand, and it also challenges the whole project assumptions. We might not even, I've had projects doing co-design where we think we're designing a toolbox, a manual, and the end user say, but we're never going to use the manual. We want to do it in a different way. So there's end user research, there's end user designing, and there's end user testing. And here are some past projects from other students. Now, you could still do projects like this using real cut and paste materials. These are scenario designs with like little snapshotted captions and paper and pen. And I know we're sitting around a table, but that's your challenge, to find a way of getting this same kind of energy with over the internet somehow. And I've got 2 PhD students who are going to be doing the same as you this year. They're going to be doing online. Here's a journey map where we're discussing the way forward, sticking things up, traditional one, cut and paste materials, asking elderly people what colours they prefer, making a mood board of a house when we were redesigning aging products and rails for in the bathroom. This is like a wheel of fortune, randomly throwing up an item, and you know, what happens if you fell over? Then what would you do? Do you like this idea or not this idea? How would elderly people like to get out of their bed? Would they prefer a long tube like this, or would they prefer a pulley kind of system? So an industrial designer was trying out both of those methods. This is an aging booth where we had the student put in an app on the computer. Oh, let me take your photo and I'll show you what you look like when you're 40 years older, just to get us in the mode. And then now let's throw a ball in one of these jars and vote for what activity you'd like to do when you're older. And here are the kind of activities. So you could replicate that as an online game. Here is a talking app. So we used a computer. One of the students made this beautiful game. It was a magnet game where the little kids fished for animals, and then that was so successful that they replicated it into an online app for a phone. It's another app for a phone. This was where we got 3 people to sit. If you couldn't see, if you couldn't speak, if you couldn't hear, and you passed the message along, they played that little game with people to see how people remembered things. A typical journey map. Another journey map we were discussing. This is where we played games with elderly people and said, would they like, which sort of games do they like? We had a simulation of a house and people had to vote which spot in the house was the most slippery. Where did they feel they had the most accidents? And a whole lot of final products that we did on going to the movies and movie lover posters. So that's it on what is co-design and some examples, co-design and participatory design and inclusive design, and a few examples from previous years. Your challenge is to put all of this into a pandemic online situation, which will really benefit co-designers long term if they learn from you how we could be doing it into the future. Bye.